It's time, y'all. What's up? It's your boy Ike Jones. We are here. The War Report pregame, Auburn versus Texas A&M. Let's get straight to it. Y'all know how we do. It's time to get into the pregame show sponsored by Prize Picks.
Pregame, halftime, and post the whole time the chat live. We around our folks, but we gon' keep the chat tight, keeping out trolls. That's why you gotta get your green name on, your pregame on, cause ain't nobody doing it better, reviewing it better, building rapport so you in tune with the players, with some quick prize picks so you can scoop you some cheddar. Get your mug or your shirt with the letters. Game time.
Prize Picks pregame show. We are here, Auburn versus Texas A&M, down in College Station. I am joined with Mike G, B, Will, and C Dub. The whole gang is here, and we appreciate you guys dropping in with us. As always, make sure that you head over to prizepicks.com before the game starts if you want to get some props going and throw a couple of dollars behind your favorite whoever today. You can do that at prizepicks.com. Use code RAPPORT to get 100% price match on your first deposit there. Prizepicks.com using code RAPPORT. If you're in here and you haven't done it already, make sure that you're sharing this video with some people so we can get some folks in here. We got about 30 minutes to kick off, and we will be bringing you right up till kickoff with coverage of your Auburn Tigers. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. Fellas, how are we feeling this morning? I'm going to start with the guy in the bottom corner down here because he wasn't here on Wednesday. Let him get his thoughts in. C-Dub, back from off the road. Caesar, how you feeling this morning, man?
Feeling good, man. I'm just interested to see Auburn play. This is the first really big test for them. There's going to be some new people, new faces, and new different positions there. Keontae Scott's out, had surgery this week, so I'm curious to see how we do in punt return. We muffed 2 punts last week. I think I'm hearing Jalen Simpson may be the guy to actually return punts. He didn't muff it last week, so interesting to see how we do there. We haven't played mistake-free so far this season, and so what I'm wondering is, are we going to be able to overcome our mistakes? 2 matchups that I'm keeping the eye on is the fact that it's going to be our run offense versus their run defense. Texas A&M has been giving up under 100 yards per game. I know it's just 3 games through the season. Auburn's actually been averaging 215 first in the SEC. So that's a matchup to keep an eye on. And if we're going to be able to run the ball, our running back room needs to have a good game to help out our quarterback. And so I'm interested to see how well we run the football in this game. Obviously, their pass offense versus our pass defense is another strength on strength. So who wins out in those matchups is what I'm eager to see. And are we going to be able to overcome some of the mistakes, whether it's false start penalties, holding penalties? Hopefully we win the turnover battle in this game. We have not done that the past 2 games. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing as well in this game.
Awesome. Yeah, we will get more into the statistics here in just a minute. I will let Mike G jump in. Mike G, of course, we know how you feel about the outcome of the game, but how are you feeling today in terms of what you want to see from Auburn?
Listen, I'm going to be watching Connor Wegman versus this Auburn defensive backfield. I think that is the battle that's going to determine whether Auburn can win this one or not, right? If they can slow him down, I think they can stop A&M from scoring. They don't look very dangerous on the ground so far this year. Auburn's run defense is actually stepped up quite a bit. People were worried about that coming into the season. So, Wegman, if they can put the reins on Wegman, man, for Auburn to win, I think this has to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to have to be a low-scoring game. And I think it might be ugly on both sides. I think we might see some ugly football on both sides of the ball here. So when you're on the road in the SEC, you take a win any way you can get it. If Auburn wins, I wouldn't particularly care how it looked because road wins in the SEC are very hard to come by. For a lot of these kids, this will be their first time playing in front of over 100,000 people. Right. They have a very intimidating environment down there. I'm interested to see how mentally prepared this team looks from the start. I don't think Auburn can survive a slow start in this one. I think they need to come out and get some points in the first quarter, right? So a low-scoring first quarter, I think, maybe is advantage A&M, especially at home. But start fast in this one. Hopefully they can start fast, find some rhythm early, right? And make A&M chase you going into the fourth quarter, right? With good defense and just mistake-free offense. So that's what I'm looking for in this one, from Auburn. I think that they have an opportunity here to start the season 4-0, man. And like this win, presumably in my book, should jump them into the top 25 in the country. And we had, if you listen to the Auburn Express podcast, I had Jake Crane on. He feels pretty strongly if Auburn wins this one, College Game Day comes to the Plains next week for Auburn versus Georgia. So there's an opportunity here for Hugh Freeze to elevate this team on a national spotlight, despite what he felt about the talent coming in. They can win this. They can win this one, but they've got to play a clean football game, and they've got to protect the football, as Hugh Freeze said. He wants to see that from Peyton Thorne. He's got to protect the football. He protects the football, and this defensive backfield does the job. They continue to get turnovers, man. Jalen Simpson turns up another pick, timely. Give this offense a short field. Help these guys out. Auburn can win this one.
Okay. B. Will, how you feeling this morning? What are your thoughts? Anything changed since Wednesday for you?
I'm feeling like points are going to get put up. I know the idea is that it's going to be a low score, and I've seen that the total it opened, I want to say, at 53, and it's dropped to 50.5 as of right now.
Speaking of line changes, have you seen that the line has moved further towards Texas A&M?
Yeah, it started at about 7, and now it's 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
9.5.
It's gone up to 9.5 in some places.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Over under's 51 right now.
Okay, so it went back up a little bit. So the way this game would go is, if they've been pretty good passing the ball, then it'd be safe to assume that they're going to pass the ball, and that's going to be how they score most of their points. We've been better against the run than I think we expected to be so far this season, but we haven't really gotten to the meat of our schedule. So if they're not going to put up points by just pounding us and getting it on the ground, they've got to put it up through the air. But our defense is good, right? Our secondary is good. We know our secondary is good. The question is really going to be, what does Auburn do on offense? That's the easiest question, right? The easiest, or it's the most prominent question. What are we going to do on offense? Are we going to air it out? Are we going to be able to find these yards on the ground that we've been getting the first 3 games? I think there's plenty that we haven't done yet. And I actually understand the trepidation of the fans who are saying, yeah, we haven't actually seen ourselves look good through the air for real. We haven't even seen ourselves necessarily dominate on the ground the way we think we should. I mean, UMass we did, but the next 2 games, it didn't come easy. So what's going on? So what can we expect from ourselves? I think we get it through the air. I think we get yards through the air. I think we get a lot of production through the air. I'm thinking 250 plus and at least 150 on the ground to score in all facets. I think it's going to be a balanced attack, and I think A&M is going to be able to keep up because they do have a good quarterback and they do have good athletes on the field of skill positions. But I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I actually think we're going to get 2 polished offensive minds, that being Bobby Petrino, not Jimbo Fisher, and Hugh Freeze / Philip Montgomery, that battery on our side. I think we see 54 to 59 points get scored in this game, and that's all I'm willing to say at this moment.
Let me ask y'all this. What's
your definition of a low-scoring game?
Is neither team makes it past 24.
Okay.
I was going to ask y'all, what do y'all think about Auburn's pass rush in this game? Obviously, Petrino has been favoring the pass. What does Auburn's pressure look like in this game? How does Auburn need to pressure? Ideally, you want to pressure with your front 4. Last time we saw Jalen McLeod in College Station, he wreaked havoc. What do we expect from that jack position, and what does pressure look like today?
I think you're going to have to be true to what you've been, which is you're going to bring pressure in a variety of ways and confuse that Texas A&M front in pass coverage. Don't try to just go man on man and hope your guy beats him. When you get the right kind of looks, then you're going to need to just have your guys go after him. We looked at this and watched the film, and when they are playing some of that close alignment with their wide receivers that allows you to blitz the corner a little bit more, especially if you have a safety over the top and help, and you can let the linebacker sag underneath or bring that defensive end underneath that. Just take your opportunities. I think you have to be true to who you are as a defense and not let them dictate to you what you're going to do. So the pass rush needs to be effective when you only have 4, especially if they're going to pass on early downs, but specifically in late downs, be who you are, make him get the ball out of his hands quickly, rally and tackle. I think that's got to be the strategy for him.
Yeah, there's good news and there's bad news for Auburn in this one, right? The good news is Texas A&M is giving up a ton of pressure on Connor Wegman. The bad news is he's been pretty good under pressure.
Right.
He's been pretty good when blitzed. So you got to get to him. So pressuring him is not enough.
Right.
Hit him, put him on the ground, sack him, wrap him up. That's what they have
passes,
to do.
all of those things. Yeah.
So yeah, dude, you got to force him into bad throws. Hit him as he's throwing. But just getting the pressure has not been enough to slow him down so far this season. And he's thrown for what, like almost, I think it's like 909 yards so far through 3 games.
Yeah.
So he's averaging over 300 yards a game through the air. I personally don't think Auburn can afford to give up 300 yards to Connor Wegman and expect to be in this one. So limit him to around like 250. Find a way to get a couple.
As long as he's not throwing touchdowns, right? Like if you can give up a bunch of yards between the 20s, fine, and force field goals, but you can't, it's got to be between the 20s, and it can't be like long 40, 50 yard situations where they're extensive drives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure Auburn has played bend don't break defense so far this year, but like you just have to slow him down. You don't want him to get in a rhythm. I don't think it's particularly reasonable to expect him to let him run free and then expect him to slow down between the 20s. I haven't seen the numbers on Auburn's like red zone defense so far this year, but this will be easily the toughest offensive team they faced all year. So with Anaya Smith and Evan Stewart and those guys on the outside, I think it just comes down to what are these defensive backs going to do? Are they going to step up as the best position group on the team and show up for their squad today, man, and shut down this Texas A&M passing game? If you can do that, I think Texas A&M will struggle to score. They can't pass the ball. I have no faith in their run offense. I don't think they're going to be able to do that on Auburn today. So, everything opens up though when you're hitting passes down the field. So we'll see how they do in this one. But like I said, Wegman has been pretty good under pressure. So it's going to be more than just about flushing him out of the pocket. You got to get to him and you got to cover.
Agreed.
So disguise coverages. I'll be interested to see what Ron Roberts does in this one to see if they can confuse him a little bit and trick him into some bad throws.
Any other thoughts on pass rush, pass defense before we get over into these statistics?
I'm hoping they save some stunts, some looks, get some in the pocket. Because I have seen them stunt.
Something.
There's a ton of things that they probably have not shown, both offensively and defensively. The question is, how proficient are we going to be in executing those things that we have not shown in the game so far? And that's I think the overall worry that a lot of people have had is that, we may have some stuff locked away in the back corner of the thing that we're just going to unveil. But how proficient are we going to be in executing that stuff if we've never done it during a game? I have no doubt that we will see things in this game that we have not seen all season. And people be like, where has this been? Right. But the question again is going to be, how well do we execute it?
Right. That's actually something I have confidence in because of how many of our guys have experience. We've looked, and when we went to Cal, granted, Cal's bad. Okay. Cal is bad. What I didn't see at Cal, though, was when we sent somebody on the blitz, they didn't get there. Like they went through the right hole. It looked like it was a well-executed blitz. The timing was good. The route that the player took to the quarterback was good. We accounted for them stepping up and still stepping up into the pocket, didn't rush around behind them and swat at them and couldn't get to them. Like all of those things were good. And that's something that I didn't see in years when the Kevin Steele defenses, when we didn't have older guys, it looked rough. Like I remember 2020, right? We were trying to blitz and get pressure because our front four couldn't do it, but we didn't even get there. Like Big Cat was bad. Truesdale wasn't necessarily effective. We had people down there to get pressure. It's like you can design a blitz. I can design a stunt and y'all still not know what you're doing. And that was something I saw then, that this year we look a lot more, not just scheme, we have experienced guys that can execute. And I like our chances of being able to execute whatever it is Ron Roberts style. So with how many experienced guys we have on defense.
Yeah, I like the way that Ron Roberts does his blitzes. I mean, they're blitzes, but they're like zone blitzes a lot, where they're still only bringing 4 guys in pressure. If they add in a fifth and a sixth, then it typically is going to be really good. So we are looking forward to seeing what happens today as Auburn faces Texas A&M. You are watching the pregame show sponsored by Prize Picks, but we are going to get over into slightly new territory and talk about show sponsor Vintage 2298 right there in Auburn. You guys have seen them on our firesides, but they are a sponsor now of the War Report's pregame and post-game shows. With that, we are going to get into what we're calling premium stats presented by Vintage 2298. And for that, we're just doing a quick comparison, a graphic comparison of Auburn's offense versus Texas A&M's defense. So what you see there is points per game, first downs per game, rush yards per game, passes per game, or pass yards per game, I should say, total offense and time of possession, what we're getting versus what they are surrendering. So from a pass standpoint, we should be able to be close. If Texas A&M surrenders what they typically surrender, we're going to get pretty much what we've been getting. But I think we need to be much better than this in our pass game.
They need more than that. They definitely need more than that.
The question for me is going to be, Texas A&M has been stingy against the run. You mentioned this a little bit earlier, Caesar, when you were talking about the numbers. Texas A&M's been stingy against the run. Auburn surprisingly are averaging 250. It doesn't feel like we've averaged this much per game. Let's be honest. Like the rush game,
the SEC.
Yeah,
I think we ran those numbers up against the cupcakes that we had, right? Like in that UMass game and that Samford game, those rush numbers got inflated a little bit, which allows us to have this number. But listen, it is what it is. The numbers are what the numbers are. You actually rushed for them. So what do we feel about what does this graphic comparison say to us?
The running backs have to play much better than they have so far. Jarquez Hunter had a slow start to the season, missing game 1. They've had kind of like a running back rotation, so to speak. But like at the end of the day, they've got to settle in to a rotation that makes sense. And your top backs have to play like top backs. Jeremiah Cobb has earned more time here in these first 3 games. So has he jumped Bati in terms of like pecking order? I'll be interested to see how they manage the running back rotation. These numbers are a little bit inflated by Peyton Thorne's rushing numbers last week versus Samford, the 100 yards that he put up. He's Auburn's leading rusher.
Right. At 140 total yards on the season and 22 carries. He actually has the most rush attempts, I think, also on the team, which is absolutely nuts.
Which is why this 215 doesn't feel like it, like you said. Like it doesn't feel like it. Right. Because a lot of that belongs to Peyton Thorne as the leading rusher on the team. He's not going to be the leading rusher today. So one of those running backs need to step up and have a big day today. Football is a funny game, right? Like, for the years, we have watched Auburn open up the pass with the run, right? Good play action, like being able to ram the ball down people's throats until they creep up, and then your quarterback drops back and hits them over the top. When Jeremy Johnson took over, we thought, okay, this might be the start of the pass setting up the run, right? They can throw so effectively that teams back up into coverage, and then you hand it to the running backs, and the running backs run wild. I have no clue what they're going to do in this. How are they going to how's one going to set up the other in this one? What does Auburn do well? What is their offensive identity going to be in this one? And do they find it? Right. I don't think that we've seen that the first 3 games. So it'll be interesting to see which direction they decide to go. Is this going to be a run heavy team, or does Hugh Freeze hold true to who he's been in terms of passing the ball? And can they execute that even? Right. They've got to go out there. They've got to execute. Can they execute the game plan as is? We're hearing that we should see Javaris Johnson on the outside today, right? So some formations with him and Jay Fair on the field at the same time. It's clear Hugh Freeze is trying to get his best player. At this point, it's SEC play, baby. You got to get your best players on the field. Last week looked like tryouts at wideout. They tried everybody. Everybody got time at wideout last week. This week, you got to narrow it down to the guys who can execute and run the right routes and be where they're supposed to be for the quarterback. Payne Thorne owns an interception on the year already that is because of a wide receiver running their route to the wrong depth. Can't do that today, right? You have to be where he expects you to be. Like, what we do know about Payne Thorne is he's very precise, right, in terms of his thinking of the game, right? He knows where he needs to go with the football. He does. Like, his knowledge of the game is not lacking, right? The execution of that, the manifestation of that from his head to the, to his arm, to the football, and then to the wideout is what has been lacking. But he knows where he wants to go with the football, and he knows where you're supposed to be. You need to do your part and be there for him today. Just be there for him today, right? And I think that you'll see some of these averages hold. 39 points per game. Oh man, if Auburn scores 39 in this one, W.
Yeah, I don't see a
W.
world where Auburn scores over 35 points and loses this game.
Loses this game. Yeah, right. I don't see it, right? So something's going to have to give here by these numbers, right? Like, so which of these averages is most likely to fold today is what I'm looking at.
There's something, it's another website, Action Network. They provide some stats and stuff for matchups. One thing that they have is PFF tackling rating as a team for Auburn. We're 21 out of 132, however many FBS teams are.
That.
Yeah. Texas A&M is 98.
Okay.
So getting those athletes in space, getting these running backs to the second level.
Yeah, Texas A&M has not.
Why did you say that Wednesday, man? I would have picked Auburn.
Listen, I'll tell you what's encouraging. Not to cut you off, B. The pass yards stat is very encouraging, which means there's opportunity for Payne Thorne to have a day through the air, especially if he's making the correct reads. And
listen, Miami
he's getting
Miami put these boys in the ringer. I saw the other, CS teams that they played throw the ball decently. They just don't have the athletes necessarily to win one-on-one matchups. The question for me is what Mike is talking about. When you have opportunities with your athletes in space, are they going to be where they're supposed to be? And are they going to win the one-on-ones that Texas A&M ultimately will give you because of how they do their alignments? They're going to put guys on an island often. You've got to go out there and win those matchups. Can our guys win the one-on-one matchups on the outside? And can Payne Thorne be accurate and on time with his delivery of the football? If you can do that, you've got a good chance to be out there with a W. Yeah. Let's go to the chat real quick, and then we'll flip this to the other side. Early in this, we had Otis Smith saying, "War damn Eagle fellas, finally we are wearing all orange with the white unis." Anyways, 24 to 21. A&M will be driving for the W, and DJ James gets the game-sealing 56-yard pick six. That is very specific. 31-21. War damn Eagle.
There's an orange face mask today, right?
Yeah, orange face mask. White unis, orange face mask. Yeah. B. Will's forehead says, "We boog until we have a reason not to." War Eagle. That is how I feel. Colton BB jumps in and says, "Building a no-fly zone." Speaking of the Auburn defense.
I like it. Yep.
Ian Lockler says, "Had a dream last night about the game 24-14 Auburn, and we put it away with a late pick." I mean, so apparently everybody's dreaming of picks today late in the game to seal the game. Auburn Dad for Life says, "Mike, Auburn DVs versus Miami DVs. Who's better against Texas A&M?"
I listen, Auburn's DBs have been spectacular so far this year. I know that they haven't played great competition, but they look great.
Yeah.
This Auburn defense travels.
Yo, dude, they're dogs, man. They got dogs in that secondary. And the young guy, Kayan Lee, stepping up and getting in there and providing some depth. Nehemiah Pritchett, I think, is going to be back today.
He is suited up today.
He's suited up. So let's see what they got Mighty back there. Jack boys, rise up. Let's go.
Let's see it.
I think it's going to be fun to watch this defensive backfield all season. I got to go back and look at the numbers, Ike, but I forgot. I was trying to find Auburn's highest interception total in the last 10 years. It hasn't been great. They haven't done well in that metric. Right. This season, they're on track to have quite a bit, of turnovers from a secondary standpoint. So Donovan Kaufman, man, if he should play today, be out there just continuing to cause havoc. He's one of the highest graded DBs in college football through 3 weeks. So ready to see what he'll do too.
Yep. Ron Roberts' defense is 100% fun to watch, says Oda. I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Cleveland Brown says War Damn Eagle down with Jimothy. He's singing your song, B. Will.
I initially had this in the boss column, so it would be nice to continue the check string there, the green check string. Come on, man.
Jazzy challenge here. Does Auburn put up more offensive yards than A&M? 100 for the correct answer. Also, remember, if a kick return goes past 50, it's 100. If the kickoff scores, it's 200. So the question here that we have to answer is
offensive yards.
More yards than Texas A&M today.
I picked Auburn to lose this one, so I'm going to say no.
And we have to come to a consensus answer here. So I think the answer still would be no, though. I think that Texas A&M can put up a bunch of yards and still lose this game. I just don't need. I need that number to be moderate. So
we can go down. We can go with no.
Yeah.
All right.
All
right, before we get out of here really quickly, got a couple of minutes. Let's flip this over to talk about the other side, the Auburn defense versus the Texas A&M offense. See the numbers there. Auburn's been stingy so far this year in points per game allowed. First downs, not a ton of them being allowed this year. Rush yards per game, they're going to test that number today for sure. And then the pass yards per game, definitely going to be tested. What are we thinking here in terms of numbers that we like and numbers that are going to be we need to watch?
The defensive points per game is good for third in the SEC right now. The only two teams in front of them are Kentucky and Georgia at 8 and 11.3 respectively.
Georgia's defense has been ridiculous, man.
Yeah, look, I mean, if that average holds, Auburn wins
for sure.
If you're going to give up less than 14 points, they're going to win this game because I think they'll find their way to two scores in this one. But you can't give up 44 points.
No.
Yeah, absolutely can't give up 44 points and win this game. And what I'll be interested to watch here is, again, this is Connor Wegman versus the Auburn secondary. Over 300 yards in the air to Wegman, and I think it's going to be really, really hard to slow this offense down the way Petrino calls offense. If he gets 337 yards, they're doing exactly what Petrino wants them to be doing, and they're going to be really hard to stop. So I would like to see Auburn hold Wegman to 250 yards through the air. I think that would be reasonable. Nice. Yeah, and then that would bring that total offensive total down to under 400 yards of total offense. You just got to find a way. You just got to find a way to limit them, man, through the air because they are not very effective on the ground and they have not shown a commitment to the run. So
no, they simply have not attempted to run the ball very much. And it will be interesting to see how they try to mix in run today.
Correct. Do they have some surprise where it's like, psych, we're running it? No, well, you've already played Miami. Your run numbers look abysmal. Yeah. So it's not like Auburn where we played 3 supposed cupcakes to start the season and you could hold things back and all that. Like, I think we've seen who Texas A&M is, right? What you have to do is you got to stop them from being who they've been so far this season, right? So you can't let them throw for 300 yards through the air. And then you force them into just good overall defense. Time of possession being pretty even. Again, I think, would point to a somewhat close game at halftime. But if they can win time of possession as well too, right? Like, force them off the field and give your offense more opportunities, right? Which I think will be key in this one as well too. I think Auburn's offense needs more opportunities at it on the road than A&M's does, right? So winning, it would be nice to see them win time of possession in this one.
Which we haven't for a lot of the season, one time of possession. So hopefully, that's the one right there that you were about to mention, Caesar.
Turnovers. Yeah. That to me, if we can turn them over and get them playing out of character, I think that will help out our offense tremendously in this game.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are just about to get to kickoff here, and we appreciate you guys jumping in here with us today. As always, before you get out of here, make sure that you share the video with somebody else. Let them know that what we got going on here. Like the video before you get out of here and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are at the War Report, and we'll be tweeting throughout the game. Make sure that you check in with us over there, and we'll see you as members. We'll see you at the half, but we are out of here. As always, this is the pregame show sponsored by Prize Picks. Members, see you at the half. Everybody else, we will see you in the post game. War Eagle.
War Eagle.